Anyone fascinated by the natural world has probably wondered why some animals have such strange-looking sense organs. The elephant with its huge ears, the antennae of a butterfly, which up close look like feathers, the snake with its split tongue. And what about less obvious enhancements, like the sensory cells on a crocodile's skin? Surely these evolutionary traits aren't just for decoration. In fact, the size, shape, and location of these animal sense organs is all for a purpose. And just like us, animals rely on their senses to communicate with each other, find their way around, stay safe, and most importantly, to find food. When you see how superior some animal senses are compared to those of humans, you might wonder how we ever manage to stay on top of the food chain. Animal super senses. You won't believe what's possible.
Animals that live life on the wing have a vast expanse of sky to navigate, find mates, locate food, and avoid predators in. Living in this aerial realm requires a unique set of senses, specialized to cope with life above ground. In this episode of Super Senses, we find out more about when senses take flight and animals become masters of the sky. The speed and precision of a bird of prey captures our attention and leaves us awestruck. From a soaring height, they scan the ground for a pigeon-sized meal. Open grassland is perfect territory. To cope with searching a vast area, they need super sharp sight. The peregrine falcon, like most predators, has forward-facing eyes. Binocular vision helps in depth perception, essential to spot fast-moving food. Their eyes rely on several visual enhancements. Each eye has two fovea, dense areas of photoreceptors. Most animals only have one, but the peregrine falcon has a deep and shallow fovea. These clusters of light-sensitive nerve cells provide acute vision for viewing distant objects. Their favorite prey are medium-sized birds. They mark their target from a height of 1,500 meters. With a power stoop reaching speeds of over 300 kilometers per hour, such acceleration would cause eyes to dry out as wind evaporates the tear film. But a nictitating membrane, or third eyelid, clears the eye of debris, and a specialized gland at the base of the membrane secretes a solution that moistens the cornea and protects the eye during the breathtaking stoop. As an aerial sniper, the peregrine falcon is a sight to behold. When a meal is spotted, the predator stoops, with wings folded close to the body. It's the perfect shape for dive bombing. It strikes the pigeon with its talons, stunning it on impact, then turns to catch it in midair. If the prey is too heavy, the peregrine will drop to the ground, where it settles to pluck the feathers before feeding. With such formidable vision, the falcon's prey stands little chance of escape. The falcon's sharp vision is impressive, but there is another bird of prey that can beat it. The wedgetail eagle also has two fovea in each eye, but it has the advantage of size. It's Australia's largest bird of prey. The wedgie, as it's known, has the keenest vision of any animal, and their eyes, relative to body size, are huge. A 4.5 kilogram eagle may have eyes as big as a 90 kilogram human. Sporting a 2-meter-long wingspan, this raptor truly is Lord of the Skies. It takes flight with slow, deep wing beats, and once aloft, skillfully uses updrafts of thermals to reach heights of 2,000 meters. Such powerful wings are put to good use as it hunts by soaring above the open country looking for rabbits and wallabies. Once spotted, it dives down at speeds of more than 80 kilometers per hour, grabbing its unsuspecting prey with its formidable 7-centimeter long talons. Big, beautiful, and predatory, birds of prey get our attention. Yet they share the sky with a much smaller winged hunter that could teach the raptors a lesson or two. Dragonflies, ancient aerial killers that seem dainty and ethereal, but don't be fooled by their delicate looks.
I think that's an interesting thing.
This one piece will make 52 layers.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen. All for free. No subscription required.
New research suggests that the dragonfly may well be the most brutal and effective predators in the animal kingdom. With military precision and fighter pilot control, they rarely miss their insect prey, managing to snatch their targets in midair more than 95% of the time. They don't even stop to finish one meal, stuffing their mouths full of meat while moving on to catch the next victim. They can fly backwards, change direction in midair, and hover for up to 1 minute. What makes the dragonfly such an effective hunter? Dragonflies have multifaceted or compound eyes and, along with bees, have the largest eyes of any insect. The dragonfly sees the world in a mosaic. They have more light-sensitive proteins, called opsins, and this allows them to see colors that are beyond human visual capabilities, such as ultraviolet light. But that's not all. The light-sensitive proteins are segregated in the compound eye, with the upward-facing part only having blue and UV receptors. It's thought it gives a special advantage to hunting dragonflies, as the sky appears to be very bright, providing a clear background against which their small, moving prey can be more easily detected. Another advantage of having a multifaceted eye is the dragonfly's acute sensitivity to movement. Their super-sense eyes make the dragonfly the stone-cold serial killer of the skies. Each autumn, millions of monarch butterflies fly about 3,000 kilometers from the eastern United States to central and southern Mexico to spend the winter. The monarch's migration is one of the most spectacular sights in nature. Past research has shown the winged travelers navigate using the sun, but the question remained, how do they manage to stay on course during cloudy days? The answer lay, once again, in the ultraviolet realm of the sky. This time, the UV light wasn't providing the direction, but acted as a switch to trigger a magnetic compass located in the butterfly's antennae. Researchers have found that light-sensitive molecules in the antennae are turned on by ultraviolet light, the wavelength that peaks during summer. Because UV light can penetrate clouds and reach the butterfly's receptors, even on overcast days, their inbuilt GPS can kick in. This magnetic compass may serve as a backup navigation system to keep the butterflies on track when they can't see the sun. So we have super senses, like ultraviolet and polarized light, that help airborne animals find food and navigate their way. They are all about what can be seen of the wide blue sky that animals can use. But what about the other senses? The sense of smell responds to airborne chemicals, but in the expanse of sky, are the molecules too dispersed? Modern birds are known more for their flying abilities and their sense of vision and balance than for their sense of smell. But some bird species still rely on smell to search for food or navigate over large areas. And recent research suggests that they may have inherited this from the dinosaurs. New World vultures, like the black vulture, live in the warm and temperate areas of the Americas. It is a typical scavenger, feeding on dead and decaying flesh. and it soars high above the ground looking for its next meal. But it doesn't have a particularly sensitive nose. Instead, this clever bird keeps a keen eye on the activities of its New World cousin, the turkey vulture. Turkey vultures can be seen circling effortlessly high in the sky. They are easily recognized by their red, featherless heads. But the turkey vulture's real claim to fame is as one of the few birds in the world that have a super sense of smell. Experts estimate that they can detect the scent of rotting flesh in concentrations as tiny as a few parts per billion in the air, and are able to sniff out a dead critter more than a mile away. While gliding in the sky, they track plumes of foul, sulfurous odors from decaying animals and home in on it by flying in circles. Watching closely is the black vulture, lacking in the sense of smell department, but smart enough to watch the turkey vultures find the food, and then follow when the time is right. Birds and insects are renowned for their aerial ability, but mammals have only one representative capable of powered flight, and that's the bat. Like other animals, their senses are adapted to deal with life above ground. The saying, "being blind as a bat," simply isn't true. The bat world is made up of microbats and megabats. Microbats hunt for insects at night using echolocation, and yes, their eyes are small. But the bigger megabats have larger eyes. They don't echolocate, but forage at night for nectar and fruit, which they find with their acute sense of sight and smell. The forward-facing eyes of flying foxes are adapted for searching for light-colored fruit and flowers at night. Flying foxes see well during the day, too. Their daytime roosts are in large open treetops, very visible to passing predators. Having excellent eyesight means they can keep a lookout for enemies. The sense of smell also plays an important part in finding food for fruit bats. They sniff out the ripest fruit with the strongest odor, and cluster figs are a favorite. Flying foxes are very good climbers. Using their wrists and thumb claw to grip, they crawl across branches to forage. Their teeth are adapted to their diet, with canines that pierce and flattened molars to crush the fruit. But flying foxes don't eat the fruit whole. The tongue is used to press the pulp against the hard ridges of the palate to extract all the juice, which is swallowed, and then the fibrous part is spat out. The tongue is lined with small projections called papillae and covered with taste buds. Flying fox tongues are so specialized, with different types of papillae and taste buds reflecting feeding behavior, that each species can be identified by tongue morphology alone. Smell also plays a role in social interactions. Secretions from the bat's shoulder glands are spread over the body while grooming, and smell is used to recognize each other. Males rub their scent onto tree branches in the colony to mark a territory and to attract passing females. With their acute senses of sight and smell, fruit bats are able to live a sky-high life. In the desert of Australia's interior, thousands of pelicans seem to miraculously appear at a vast saltwater lake. It is a wonder of the Australian outback. Most of the time, the lake is bone dry and has little to sustain life. It's the last place you would think to find a water bird. But every decade or so, floodwaters turn it into an inland sea, teeming with microscopic animals that feed fish. And the fish-eating pelicans follow. It's here the lakes support 10,000 pelicans breeding a new generation. But these nomads of the sky have traveled across the vast interior to reach the fish-filled waters from the coast. How do thousands of pelicans know when to fly hundreds of kilometers to inland waters? What cues are they detecting? Bird talk, inbuilt magnetic compasses, and the ability to hear vibrations from long distances are just three theories which try to explain why the birds migrate when they do, but there's no evidence. Experts think the birds may be using riverbeds as route maps, but that doesn't explain what triggers the flight. So the mystery of the lake ear pelicans continues to baffle scientists. The senses are the stars of animal supersenses, and this episode has been no exception. We've discovered animals use a range of senses to cope with life in the clouds. Given the distance and vast openness of the skies, animals make the most of what the aerial realm has to offer, and human abilities pale in comparison. So join us next time on Super Senses to find out more incredible powers of animal perception.
Anyone fascinated by the natural world has probably wondered why some animals have such strange-looking sense organs. The elephant with its huge ears. The antennae of a butterfly, which up close look like feathers. The snake with its split tongue. And what about less obvious enhancements, like the sensory cells on a crocodile's skin? Surely these evolutionary traits aren't just for decoration. In fact, the size, shape, and location of these animal sense organs is all for a purpose. And just like us, animals rely on their senses to communicate with each other, find their way around, stay safe, and most importantly, to find food. When you see how superior some animal senses are compared to those of humans, you might wonder how we ever managed to stay on top of the food chain. Animal super senses. You won't believe what's possible.
When the sun sets, the animal kingdom swaps shifts. Day workers go to sleep, while others get active. This is the night shift, and nocturnal animals have taken to this dark world for good reason. They escape from predators, avoid the heat of the day, and take their turn sharing food and resources in their niche. But to navigate life in the dark, you need some special abilities to cope with the lack of light. In this episode of Animal Super Senses, we find out more about the animals that live in the shadows and the adaptations they need to survive. Eyes rely on light, so it may come as a surprise to learn that some nocturnal animals depend on a great deal of their sense of sight to operate in the darkness. Having large eyes helps to compensate for low light levels. The ring-tailed possum is an Australian marsupial that spends the night feeding on leaves, flowers, and buds. They live life in the trees. An agile climber with claws on the hands and feet, including thumbs that help it to leap from branch to branch. And a strong prehensile tail that acts like a fifth limb. With large eyes, the possum has superb night vision. Although not a predator, the eyes face forward, providing binocular vision and depth perception, useful for judging distances when jumping through the trees. Gliders are a type of possum, and like the ring-tailed, they are forest dwellers. But instead of climbing from tree to tree, these possums do as their name suggests, glide. A thin membrane attached between their ankle and wrist helps them to fly. Sugar gliders gnaw through the bark of eucalyptus and acacia trees to get the sap and gum underneath. In spring and summer, they boost their diet with insects. To search for food, they fling themselves from one trunk to the next in the pitch black. So it helps a great deal for gliders to have excellent night vision. They are outfitted with huge, bulging eyes. But that's not all. Experts think their widely spaced eyes allow them to triangulate distance and prepare them for gliding to the next food source. But the prize for the biggest eyes goes to a strange-looking creature that lives beyond Australia's northern boundaries. Tarsiers are tiny primates found in the jungles of Southeast Asia. Their eyes are so large that one eyeball is bigger than its brain. Foraging at night, large eyes help the retina to collect more light. Gremlin-like and entirely carnivorous, they eat a variety of insects, pouncing on them using powerful hind legs from their treetop perches. Long, spindly fingers help them cling to trees and can be used as a kind of cage to trap prey in the forest night. Their forward-facing saucer eyes can't move in their sockets and take up half of their skull. Because of this, thanks to specially adapted vertebrae, Tarsiers have an owl-like ability to turn their heads 180 degrees in each direction. This gives them a very wide field of vision, keeping an eye out for both prey and predators. The tarsier has the biggest eyes in relation to their body size of any mammal. If human eyes were as big, they would be the size of grapefruits. Tarsiers also have excellent hearing, with thin, mobile ears that can be unfurled and retracted as needed. They can easily pick up the sounds of scurrying insects. It's Gizmo's ability to detect and grab prey at night, using its phenomenal senses, that is the key to its success. But unusually, they don't have one ability that is common amongst nocturnal animals. When you look out into the darkness, it can be somewhat alarming to see eyes glowing back at you. The eerie twinkling is produced by nocturnal animals. Cats' eyes shine when caught in the glare of a torch or headlight. Tarsier's eyes don't. There is a layer of reflective cells at the back of the eye, behind the retina, known as the tapetum. This layer bounces photons of light back, giving the eye's sensory cells a second chance at absorbing the rays. Pigments in the retina affect the color of the reflected light. Not all nocturnal creatures have good eyesight. Bilbies are desert-dwelling marsupials from Central Australia. They avoid the heat of the day by being active at night. Also known as the rabbit-eared bandicoot, as the name suggests, the bilby has huge outer ears, all the better to hear with. They have a large pinnae, or external ear, that helps to funnel sound to the inner ear and gives the bilby its excellent sense of hearing. The bilby's big ears are hairless and thought to be useful for regulating body temperature. They are also flexible and can be rotated, held flat against the body, stuck out, or even folded in half. Bilbies aren't fussy when it comes to food. Helped by a long pointy nose with an excellent sense of smell, they forage for subterranean insects, bulbs, seeds, and fungi by digging through the soil with powerful limbs and foreclaws. It's thought they have such long ears so that when bilbies are digging deep, a portion of it remains above the ground to keep an ear out for predators. Perfectly adapted for arid conditions, they don't drink water but get all the fluids they need from food. By day, the bilby sleeps in deep, spiral burrows, which can be dug 2 meters into the ground. This protects them from the heat and daytime predators. In the arid Sonoran region of North America, another desert dweller, the kangaroo rat, goes about its nightly business eating grass seeds and stuffing them into its cheek pouches. This little hopper has specialized ears, but it's not the external part we see like the bilby, but the inside ear that's the key to their super sense hearing. They have an enlarged eardrum and huge air-filled chambers in the middle ear. This gives them acute sensitivity to sound, especially those at lower frequencies. This little rat may seem like it's had too much caffeine, but there's a good reason for its bizarre behavior. There's a hunter nearby with rat for dinner on its mind. Research has shown that the kangaroo rat's ears are adapted to nocturnal life, allowing them to hear the low-frequency sounds of predators, such as owls' wing beats or a rattlesnake's scales rubbing against the ground. The kangaroo rat senses danger and drums its feet on the ground, and these low-frequency sounds warn its offspring to be on alert. But it also sends a message to the snake that its presence has been detected and that the odds of catching a meal are low. The snake, meanwhile, will continue to wait for an opportune moment, and it uses every sense at its disposal to make sure it will eventually eat. After all, its life depends on it. Rattlesnakes, an iconic North American snake known for its characteristic rattle found at the tip of its tail. As night falls, a hungry rattler will move about looking for a spot to ambush prey. They use their heightened sense of smell to detect food by flicking their tongues in and out. This picks up scent particles and deposits them on the Jacobson's organ, a specialized chemical detecting structure located in the roof of the mouth. Rattlers are also known as pit vipers because they have heat-sensing organs located in pits near their eyes. This heat vision supersense is a useful tool for predators that need to hunt prey in total darkness. The pits allow them to see the heat signature of the prey, the warmth given off by an animal compared to its cooler surroundings, which provides a heat image. With an exceptional sense of smell and supersense heat-seeking vision, it's little wonder the rattlesnake is a formidable nocturnal hunter. Down under, the rattlesnake may have competition for the title of most effective nighttime killer. The cat-sized tiger quoll is a meat-loving marsupial. This voracious hunter eats possums, bandicoots, reptiles, and birds, tracking them down with its superior sense of smell. Like miniature bloodhounds, their movements are slow and deliberate. With nose to the ground, they follow the scent trails of their prey. Once food is detected, they are quick to attack. Razor-sharp canines deliver the killing bite. They're not fussy eaters, and if they sniff an easy meal like a dead wallaby laying around, they will happily chow down. But it's the quoll's sense of smell that may be even more important to their survival. It could actually save them from extinction. In the top end of Australia, the northern quoll population is in rapid decline. An invasion of toxic cane toads is the cause. Northern quolls have a taste for the amphibian, but once eaten, they soon succumb to the poison from the glands on the cane toad shoulders. Researchers are putting them through quoll school by feeding them sausages made of cane toad legs, laced with a chemical to make the quolls feel sick. And it's working. The quolls are turned off their deadly diet. In terms of Antipodean nightmare animals, the quoll keeps good company. Along with its cat-like cousin, the Tasmanian devil is also a member of the family of flesh-eating marsupials, only much bigger. It is the largest of the carnivorous marsupials. As aggressive, brawling beasts, their ferocious behavior is legendary. During the day, the devil rests in caves or hollow logs, then comes out at night to find food. Like the quolls, they have a well-developed sense of smell, but are rather clumsy when it comes to actively pursuing prey. They prefer to scavenge on the dead. And it's at dinner time they will often encounter other devils. Jaw wrestling, teeth clashing, loud yowls and screams are all common in territory disputes. But a sense of touch is used here to minimize fighting. Tasmanian devils have long whiskers, not only in the usual whiskery places like the face, but also in clumps far back on the top of the head. Their long whiskers help them forage in the dark. They also help devils space themselves from each other when gathering together at a carcass. If devils' whiskers are not touching each other when they are feeding, they are safely outside of biting range. And with a bite force among the highest recorded for any species, that is something to avoid. With such a super sense resume, it's not the kind of creature you want to come across on an evening stroll. Following on the theme of Halloween frights, another creature that haunts our nightmares, the bat. Vampire movies have a lot to answer for, giving this little creature a bad reputation. But microbats, like the pipistrellus and Mexican free-tailed bats, eat insects, not blood. During the summer, Pipistrella females form maternity colonies where they give birth. These groups can number hundreds of individuals in what is known as a nursery roost. For 3 to 4 weeks, the baby bats are fed solely on their mother's milk. Feeding young costs energy, and research has shown that lactating pipistrelles make 2 foraging trips per night to feed their growing young. With a jerky, erratic flying style, they pursue insects which they eat on the wing. A single pipistrelle can consume up to 3,000 insects in one night. Its phenomenal prowess in aerial hunting is thanks to a special super sense, echolocation. Finding and catching small, quick-moving insects in the pitch black is not easy. Vision is limited in low light, so instead of using their eyes, microbats see with sound. They fire sound waves out into the darkness and listen to the echoes that come back. Using echolocation, the bat can determine where an insect is, how far away it is, and in what direction it is moving. It's a technique humans use to develop sonar navigation systems in the military, using expensive technology. The little bat, of course, just does what comes naturally with its super sense. The senses are the stars on animal super senses, and this episode has been no exception. We've discovered animals use a range of sensory tools to cope with life in the darkness. Living the night shift doesn't stop nocturnal animals using every sensory tactic in the book to survive. So next time you're out there in the dark, watch out for things that go bump in the night. Join us next time on Super Senses to find out more incredible powers of animal perception.